Right, hi everyone, Chris here, 2E0UKH. Got a very special video here for you. This is the Ailunce HD1 dual band FM and DMR handheld transceiver. It's 10 watts, so it's quite usable out in the field, and it's quite a radio. I've been waiting quite a while for this. I didn't think it would come as early as it did. So this is Ailunce, that's the name of it, but it's made by Vfo. So it's part of the MD380 2017 family. I think this is the radio the MD 2017 should have been. So to get hold of one of these at the moment is quite difficult. I was lucky. I kept checking on the Vfo website until I found one in stock and I ordered it. And funnily enough, I bought this with my own money. I wasn't sent it to review or anything, so these are all my own opinions. There's lots and lots of good things, but there's a few things to point out which are not perfect. But the good thing about the Ailunce radio, the customer service is getting better and better. There's a Facebook group about this, the Ailunce HD1. And they're listening to hams. They're asking, what can we do to improve this? What bugs have you found? They've been very reluctant to release this radio, but I think the hardware's there. They're just working on the software. So there's little things here and there that are missing or not 100%, but they're altering the firmware all the time. Anyway, so the radio, like I say, dual band FM, DMR. And it's 10 watts. 10 watts, 5 watts and 1 watt. So the hardware is pretty solid. Do like the hardware. You got the transmit button on the side, and you've got 2 presets here underneath it, which can be set for short press and long press. On the other side you've got this familiar looking programming cable connection, but it is not the same. Might look the same, but your MD 2017 Vfo RT82, the accessories won't fit this. It will go in, but it will blow up the radio, so don't plug them in. And this will not fit in the charger for an MD380. I've tried it, it just physically doesn't fit. So there's no stupid trackball. That's the main thing, that's gone. And there's a very nice keyboard. I really do like this keyboard. It's very clicky and it works really well. And you've got this familiar clicker knob on the top. You can whiz around the channels and you don't have to use the trackball. I had an MD 2017. I got rid of it because there was problems with the aerial and I didn't like the trackball. And because there was no clicker knob, I had to go through the software, clicking through it up and down. And because it was so laggy and slow, it takes forever to get from one side of a code plug to another. So I'll just show you some basic features to do with the screen, because it's quite an unusual screen. And then I'll get on to the good points which I've spotted that I really like about this radio. And then there's some things which are a bit odd, which need working on. So if Vfo watch this video, there'll be some good suggestions towards the end. So on the screen, just switch it on. I've programmed in a few DMR channels and FM channels, UK calling. And to control the screen, if you press the top right button, the red one, press it once, it just goes into Vfo mode, so you can go up and down. You can hold it in and it scans, searches. Tap it again and we're back to the channel I was in. You press the... This is going to get a bit annoying. I'm just going to turn my hotspot off and then I'll turn it on later so we can see some audio coming through. So I've just temporarily turned my hotspot off so nothing disturbs the screen. So you've got a 2-line screen. Got a lovely clock on the bottom. I do like that. If you press the bottom right button once, just tap it. You can go between 2 lines or 1 line. I prefer 1 line. And if you press the scan, you can swap the lines over. I like it on the top. And if you long press the scan, it will scan the channels. If you're in channel mode, it will scan the channels. If you're in Vfo mode, it will search. And you can change it to, if you long press the top right button, the red one, you can swap it from FM to DMR. So long press it, that changes it to DMR. So that's the display. I do like it very much. And this is a really heavy radio, really substantial radio. I mean 10 watts, that's going to be really handy. So that's just the basics of the controls I just wanted to show you. You can lock the screen by pressing the bottom right. Got that symbol at the top. Long press it again and it comes out. But I just wanted to go through a few points about the radio. So just turn my hotspot back on. Right, so the hotspot is coming on. Not that I need it, but I've talked about the screen, so things won't be getting in the way. If things come up now, it doesn't matter. So this is the non-GPS version. This is just the basic HD1, no GPS. The GPS version is £10 extra, I believe. That's out of stock, so you'll be waiting a while for that one. And I would like to try out the GPS model. I'd be very interested to test it. I don't even know what it would do. On the ID51, you know, it will tell you how many miles someone is away from you. You know, that if it's something like that, that could be handy. So these are the things I like about it. Got a little list here. It's quite a big list actually of good and a few bad things. So it's analog. It's analog FM with VFO with search. Just showed you that. That works a treat. I like the fact that it's got this clicker knob on the top, and you can get from one side of the code plug to another, or from, you know, just whiz through the channels. This button on the top, right, this knob, it doesn't just do 16 clicks and stop, it goes forever. So if you put this radio in just channel mode, not in the zone, this is a killer feature. You've got 3,000 channels just in one block if you want. So you've got 3,000 channels and you can have them all together. I mean, that's just brilliant. I think it is 64 channels per zone, but I've not had that confirmed yet. I haven't got 64 channels in it yet. Now, you can program this radio without a PC. If you're sitting in the car somewhere or you go on holiday, you can program a DMR repeater completely without a computer. And that's quite easy to do actually. I did one yesterday. It just involves being in Vfo mode, which I am. you know, I'm not going to program everything, but you go into menu, and because it's on the top line, we're talking about band A. So band A set, go in there. You can select the step, the power, wide and narrow, set your tones, that doesn't apply in DMR. Give it a channel name, shift up or down, shift frequency, whether it's minus 0.6. You can change the colour code, the DMR mode. This is handy. If you've got a personal hotspot, you just set it as simplex and then it will work. So if you're just setting it up for your personal hotspot, set it up as simplex. Now, this is the clever bit. You've got DMR slot there. It's got promiscuous mode built in. This is not HAP firmware. This is straight out the box. It's got all the call signs, all the 100,000 call signs. You can import them into the CPS software on the PC. So you've got all the call signs, but without hacking it. You've got radio ID. In there, you've got, I think, 32 radio IDs. So, now this is the bit, contacts. If you go into contacts, look, there's number 1 out of 1,000 is USA nationwide. So if you're going to program a DMR repeater, all you do is you find it, you know, I've put a few in, you find a blank one, and you can program in your own DMR talk group. So you can do talk groups, that's fantastic. So it's got promiscuous mode, I just said that. It's got IP67 waterproofing. So it's okay to take it out when it's raining, or, you know, out as an emergency radio. I've already said it's a 10 watt radio, so that's very usable. Not done much testing on it yet, I've only had it one day, but sitting in my bedroom on the FM, I can open a repeater up which is, it's about 45-50 miles away. I can open up GB3 PI on FM, and it's a very good distance away. So you can have 32 DMR call signs of people that want to use this radio. So if you're in a club and you've got 32 people in that club on DMR, you can choose different call signs from, you know, just from a memory. So it's got 3,000 channels. 3,000 channels to put stuff in. Now, I think it's 64 channels per zone. Haven't had that confirmed yet. So you could, theoretically, that means you could have 64 on the top and 64 on the bottom. But I've just discovered something really a lot better than using zones, which is all channels. So if I went to the, where are we? So if I went to band A, that's the top one. If I went to that and went to zone, I've got it set for all channels. So it's not just going to show 16 channels or 64. You could just whiz round all 3,000 if you had that many channels. So I've created a zone called main, which has just got my favourites in. But I've discovered all channels. So that's what I'm going to be using. That is so handy. So this one came with the programming cable. It said it's being sent as a gift. So I already said about the display, it's got a nice clock. It's got an FM radio with memories. I don't bother with these FM radios, but might come in handy. And It's an unusual colour display. It goes, it's got quite a wide palette of colours. Let's come back a bit. So we've got a nice radio there, and there's memories. I have seen in the CPS software talking about memories, so you can store different radio stations. And it's very fast operating system. So I was saying on the MD 2017, it took forever flicking around these channels, but this is very fast. So I don't know if you know, there's a CPU in here. It's a computer running an operating system. It's actually a very fast little radio. So another thing I like, when I was programming it up, I could hear audio coming from the radio. Normally when you have a programming cable in, it mutes the speaker. So if you're making lots of little adjustments, that was really handy. You can hear the audio. You know, you don't actually need to disconnect the cable, but it's a bit awkward. You've got to turn that screw. Now, this is a very minor thing, but I thought this was very handy. When you go into a menu, that will not disappear off the screen. That is very handy. You know, if you're trying to disconnect from a talk group or enter the 4000 command, it doesn't go off the screen. It just stays there like that. So you're not being rushed to make the next option. So there's 1000 digital contacts. So that means you could have 1000 talk groups or people's call signs. And yeah, I found this quite quirky. At the top right, it shows the battery percentage. Now, I've been playing with this radio all day yesterday. Well, not all day, a few hours. And when I got it, it was on 86%. And it doesn't seem to go down. It just stays. I did a live video with it yesterday on a Facebook group, on one of my Facebook groups, and the battery didn't go down at all. But I have noticed if you turn it off and then back on again, it changes sometimes. So it's on 80. So I don't think it's very accurate at the moment, as in the percentage it's reading. So I've turned it on, it's still on 80. But the only way I could get it to go down, so that's what it gives you, someone's call sign. When someone talks, this is out the box. This is not hacked firmware. It tells you the person's call sign. An ID and name and town, country. So we'll see that coming up a bit in a minute. In a little green window. It's a bit small. But it is there, and considering that's not hacked firmware, that's very good. Now, you can change the boot up logo. There's an option in the CPS software where you can change the photo. I haven't looked into that. It's normally very low bit rate, you know, not very good if you're putting a photo on, but for text or a logo, you know, it's spot on. So this, I think this is the radio the MD 2017 should have been. And anyway, that's all the good things I can say about the radio. You know, it's early days, but to achieve all that so early on, you know, I'm quite impressed. Now, here's some things that, or suggestions, how they could improve it. You know, perhaps they're working on these things. I'm using firmware 1.34. That's the very latest firmware as of end of December 2017. So I'm using the latest. What I did was, as soon as I got the radio, I updated the radio with the firmware to 1.34 and I got the latest CPS software. And then I got hold of the list of DMR call sign database. You know, it's a file, and using the CPS software there's an option to import the file from the contacts address book. There's an option to, I'm sure it says import. Now, you can't alter the brightness on this radio. There's no brightness. You can change the backlight, but that just means whether it's going to go off or not. You know, I don't like seeing it going off all the time. I find that really annoying. I don't find the, you know, it's not an issue with battery having the display on. You know, you've got that lovely clock on there. You know, I'm watching a lot of videos about this radio on YouTube, and they're talking about it, and the screen goes off every five seconds. You know, the reason I've done this video, quite an in-depth video, is because I couldn't find anyone on YouTube that really showed all the features off. So you can't alter the brightness. Now, like I say, I have made a zone. I made a zone called main, yeah? So if I go in there, so that's the information you get when someone talks. If I go into band A, that's the top line, and I'll change it to zone main, yeah? Because that's the one I made. That's the one I like. Go in there, I'm now in main. And it doesn't, just there, it says zone 1. You know, don't give me the option to change the name and then tell me zone 1. So I've only got one zone, but it doesn't say the name of it. If I'd known that in the first place, I would have just called it zone 1 so that they correspond. Right, where have I got to? When someone talks, when there's a QSO in progress, try and get, that's the UK cluster, very, very popular group in the UK, DMR. It's on talk group 23595. It's very good. Always someone on there. So USA nationwide, there's going to be someone. So I didn't want to talk while I was keyed up, but I was just showing you what happens when you key up. You get a red screen and it shows your frequency and stuff. So I just transmitted then to try and get someone to key up so we can see what information's on the screen. But it's too small. The window that comes up, it's too small. On an MD380, it's a lot bigger with the HAP firmware, so that's something they can work on. Now, I do not believe you can create your own zone from the radio. That's another thing I'd like to do. You cannot make a zone and then start putting channels in that zone. So that's something I need to work on. You know, this might be just me. Perhaps I couldn't find it, but I don't think so. I've looked carefully. Be good to be able to create a zone and then go around finding the channels that you want to put in, and there'll be an option to add it, but that's not on here. I'm always falling asleep with these radios on, so I think a power off timer would be handy. Got it on the ID51 and that works really well. Now, it's got this cracking Vfo for FM. I'll just try and bring it up. So I'm in FM mode. I'm in FM mode, flicking about. The green, when the green comes up there, it's telling me it's found a signal on 4461625, no code. I don't know what that no code bit meant. I wonder if that's a CTTS tone. The code. Let's type in one of my local repeaters. Type in one of my local repeaters and see if I get a code. Right, get that off the screen. 145 6625. I've mucked that up. 145 6625. I do actually have this programmed in as a memory, so let's just find that. So I've got to go to all channels. I'm in the zone called main, which doesn't show as main, it shows as 1. So go into band A zone. So all channels. So when I come back out now, there's no zone there now. So there's the repeat. That's the repeater nearby. It says no code, so I'm not sure if that's going to show the CTTS tone. But this would be very handy if you could take this radio, you know, you're up on a hilltop somewhere doing a bit of DX work, and you could search. When you're doing a search, you could find out the CTTS tone of the repeater, and then you could identify it, then you could work it. Not sure if that's available. Now, in the CPS software, this is the PC software I'm talking about, you can assign different functions to these two keys here, short press, long press. But there's no option for manual dial. So if I wanted to quickly type in 4000, I would have to go menu, contacts, manual dial and type it in. On my MD380, I've programmed the side key to do manual dial. You know, it's probably because I'm used to it, but that would be handy if you could do that on this radio. Now, this radio is 1 watt on low power, 1 watt on low power, but I think that needs to be a lot less. I think we need 100 milliwatts. If we're running them off these hotspots, you know, there's my hotspot there on the left. If we're running them off these hotspots, if you've got it on 100 milliwatts, right, this thing's going to last for days. You know, and you're not going to cause any interference. So it would be nice if it was lower power. So, and it would be so easy for them to, in the CPS software, to have the option to update the DMR database from within. You know, one button, update. You know, as it stands, you've got to go out, find the DMR database, which is not hard to do. Go on one of these Facebook groups. Brandmeister. Download the database, stick it on your computer. You go into the address book and you import them in there. But it'd be so nice just to press one button and flash the database over. You know, they'd only have to have a link to it. A reliable link that always has the up-to-date list. Press one button and your call signs are updated. And this is the last thing. This is the last thing which is a bit strange. It clunks when you change channel. No, when someone keys up, there's always a clunk and then they talk. So I'm on USA nationwide. E0 UKH, just doing a demo of the Ailunce HD1 transceiver.
Your demo is sounding good in North Carolina, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Sounding good. K4JAR.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tim. I can't speak right into the radio because I'm talking into a camera. I hope you don't mind. I'm just doing a little review. Well, a first impressions of this Ailunce HD1 radio. I mean, you're sounding fabulous. How's it? I know you just said it sounds okay. So good audio your way. Back to you.
Very good audio. Very good audio. No problem whatsoever. And don't have to turn the volume up. Don't have to turn the volume down. Very clear and sounding fine this morning. 7.3's over your way, and happy to help out with a demo. K4JAR.
Yeah, many thanks. Yeah, I'm just filming this. I hope you don't mind. You'll be able to see it if you search for my call sign a bit later, because I haven't found any very detailed videos about this radio. Yeah, there's a lot of people interested in it. It's dual band DMR. It's got Vfo mode on it. Now, this is the best thing. It's got, instead of just 16 channels in a zone, right? I think it's 64 channels on a zone, but you can also access all channels. So you can have a block of 3,000 channels all in one, it's not a zone, but all in one area. And you just keep clicking it up and you can keep changing channel without messing about going in different zones. Anyway, I'll say 7.3. Thanks very much for the demo. 73220 UKH. So that was quite good audio. It shows the details on the screen, but it could do with being a bit bigger. So I don't want the video to be too long, but I did want it to be very detailed. And I'm just going to go through, I'm not going to talk about every single menu item, but I'm just going to go through the menu items on the screen so that you can see what this radio can do. So I've showed you the basic controls. You know, I'm not in a zone. I'm in channel mode. If I press that, that goes to Vfo mode. You've got direct frequency input, so 145,000. So you can go straight to the frequency you want and search off. So I'll put it back in DMR in channel mode. And so I'll put it on an FM repeater, and then we won't be getting DMR, the green screen coming up. So I'm going to take you through every menu, but not necessarily talk about each item. So main set, that's just settings that are general. You know, like setting the clock. You don't want to be setting the clock on band A or B. So these are the settings on main set. Should just be called settings. Hang up. Don't know what that is. You can define the keys there for these buttons on the side. Backlight, that's just the brightness. No, not the brightness. That's just the how long it stays on for. That's constant. Channel mode, that's it shows the name that you've programmed in, or it will show the frequency only. That's quite unusual, quite a good one. Scan mode, you know, it's whether it detects a noise or a timed after 5 seconds, or you know, something like that. You've got different options what it does when it finds something. You've got save channel. So your band A and band B will be the same. These are settings to do with programming a channel, a frequency into memory, whether it's a repeater or a simplex. So we've got plenty of step rates here. That's the highest. I find that quite generic, that works with everything. Powers high, mid, low, wide and narrow. That's all the tones. You can give it a channel name. Shift up. I've set it as a simplex so it won't work. But if you go shift up, you get the choice. I think you get the choice of plus, minus, or off. Shift frequency in there. You can say. No, you type it in and it fills it in there. So you can type in the offset, color code, self-explanatory. You can put the colors in there. DMR mode. DMR mode is just simplex, repeater, or dual slot, or two, yeah, dual slot. I don't know what dual slot does. So I mean that must be an analog mode. It's not letting me alter the DMR settings. So it's got promiscuous mode built in. So I'm getting this general message, things I can't access for DMR because I'm in analog. So that's the same as at band A, band B. You've got messages. That's for sending text over radio. Much the same as the other MD380 and stuff, you know, call log, messages, contacts, radio ID. So this is it, look, 32. You've got 32 radio IDs you could program into it. Radio, that's the FM radio. So that's it. I've been through every single menu. I've told you about the display and how you alter the lines. And overall, I think this is a really cracking radio. This ticks all the boxes. This is just what I've been looking for. I wanted a radio that had the clicker knob on the top. It didn't have a stupid track wheel. Don't know what they were thinking with that. A radio that's got all the call signs. 10 watts, that's super useful. You know, the list goes on and on. And the fact that I can just put it in all, all channel mode. Instead of being in a zone, I've just got all the channels there together. I know I've only got 4 in. I've only had it a day, but I could have 500-600 channels there. And and talk groups, a mixture of analog and digital. And remember, you could have them on both lines like that. You could have an analog at the top, like it is, and a digital at the bottom. You can swap them over. So Really, really good radio. Okay, hope that was interesting. 732E0 UKH.